boys, they've got their scoring boots back on, which must be pretty pleasing. It was a pretty pleasing into that road trip as well. How is everyone pulled up after a pretty hectic sort of 10 days?
Yeah, you're right. It was pretty hectic, lots of travel, reasonably good performances as well. So I thought we probably should have won that game against Kofu, and then really backed up well against the game in Newcastle. We were pretty comfortable for most of the game. Nice to score a couple of goals, not concede any. So yeah, heading in the right direction.
Does it feel like a turning point? Might be a bit dramatic, but at least a little, maybe turn the corner a little bit on this season and started to get a bit of that upward momentum?
Yeah, I think we're starting to get a little bit more settled. Obviously, when I just came in here, everything's new. They're getting used to me. I'm getting used to them. Trying to get a good feel of each individual's characteristics, and I think now that's sort of starting to settle now. And I think at this stage everyone's good. We just got back this morning, first session, and then we're travelling again tomorrow mid-morning. So not a hell of a lot of time to prepare, but that's what it is. And at this stage, I think just one of the young boys pulled up sick from the trip, so he'll be missing.
Because, Aurelio, we've been talking about this long road trip, but now you've got to fly to Perth, and then you've got the very short turnaround between Friday and then a Tuesday ACL game. Is it a case of this past week has now put you in a good position to do that because you're used to being on the road, or is it really beginning to irk on the boys?
No, I think that's been a real positive for us. Well, we had a nice chat about that a couple of weeks ago. We understand that's the situation. There's nothing we can do. The schedule is the schedule. So any negative thoughts or anything like that has just been put aside. So we were really super positive throughout the whole trip. And you're 100% right. Sometimes, a long trip together, sitting in each other's pockets can get a little bit testing at times. But I can't complain. They were brilliant, very professional. And I think that showed in certainly those two performances that we had in our last two against Kofu and Newcastle.
You'll have to forgive me because their name escapes me, but I remember reading one of the boys talking about how there was some honest conversations that took place in Japan between the boys and how that they felt like they needed to have them. Could you walk us through what happens in Japan, with those sort of conversations and team bonding moments?
Well, we always have honest conversations with the coaching group and the players in terms of performance and expectations, and that's normal for us. They, as a group, the players themselves, had one, and I'm not privy to exactly what was said, and that's amongst the players, but they knew that they weren't performing and they needed to get things out in the open, and they had a nice discussion in Japan, and whether that's the turning point, who knows, Joey, but I think the policy here has always been to be honest and upfront and truthful, and sometimes those conversations are hard to have, so we're growing up.
Have you noticed any difference in the players since? Sometimes there's nothing to notice. Sometimes you see a weight come up the shoulders. Sometimes there's a bit of an extra grit about them. Has there been anything different since Japan?
I think certainly a little bit more resolve. We had some moments certainly in the way we play in our transition moments, taken to defence, and they're a little bit more switched on now. So. And that comes also with training and making sure that we have the players in the right positions, and a reaction of an action when we lose the ball. I think that's vitally important. That's part of our DNA as well here at the club. So it's probably a part of a lot of players' games that they don't like. We always want the ball. we don't want to do the hard work. But unfortunately, that is the game. So it's just an acceptance of doing that as part of your role. So I think it's good. I think the more conversations that the players can have amongst themselves, the better it is. You know, coaches, we're always having meetings and discussions, but I think it means more once it's coming from their peers, and hopefully that's a good foundation, Anna, for things moving forward.
Matt, just looking forward to Perth. Matt Leckie, can he start? Like he's played 40-something minutes.
Yeah, he's had a fair few minutes now. Slowly introduced him in Kofu, and that probably gave him a hell of a lot of confidence, and then a lot more in that game against Newcastle. So yeah, he's certainly up for selection this weekend.
Is there anybody will you travel with the full squad to Perth, Aurelio, or will you technically leave some boys here for extra recovery given the busy week coming up?
No, only Nuno's starting with the group today on a modified program. So let's see what he's like if he joins the squad on Tuesday. I'm not sure at this stage. Young Harry Polididis is crook, so he's one of the young boys I mentioned earlier that is not travelling, and everyone else is travelling. So we'll travel with 19.
And just looking at the boys, obviously, as Anna said, you got on the score sheet against the Jets, the goals start coming in. I guess looking at, I'm not sure how much you look at the advanced stats and everything, but like looking at your side defensively, I guess, in the defensive penalty area, you're actually the best team in the league when it comes to expected goals against. You're the stiffest defence in the competition, but you've conceded, I think it's 5 more goals than you'd be expected to. You're actually shipping the goals we wouldn't anticipate you to do so. Is that just a matter of luck? The opposition has been clinical when they've gotten to your box, or is there something there that you've been working on?
Well, I think that game against Macarthur, they had 6 shots and scored 3 goals. So that tells you a fair bit, doesn't it? So we certainly have to improve in that area, and I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Joey, it's just not the goalkeeper and it's not the back four. You know, when we defend, we have to defend as a collective, and that's what wasn't happening earlier. Certainly in the last couple of weeks, we've made a couple of tweaks to the way we do defend, and I think it's improved it, but we've still got a long way to go.
Because you've been able to get your feet under the desk now a bit earlier. Are you beginning to settle on what your preferred 11 is and what your preferred squad is, and what sort of what players you'll deploy in certain circumstances, or are you still feeling that out? Where are you along in this process?
I think it's something that's just continuing in my mind, and because we've had so many games, so I've done a little bit of rotating, especially in the last game. You know, we put on a couple of fresh guys in the midfield. For example, we gave young Benny Mazzeo a starting debut. So you know, people like Lex is coming back. Andy Naboo still far, probably a couple of months away. So Nuno, who's played almost every minute until he had his little setback with his quad injury. He's starting to come back as well again now. So the thing that I always want is competition. So once we've got healthy competition right across the board, then it's certainly going to be about performance, and we've already spoken about that a number of times. Yes, we'll get to a point where the squad's going to be settled. Right now, it's probably not settled, but everyone knows they're a chance. You know, there's a perfect example on the game against Newcastle. No one thought Benny was going to get a start, so you know the message is always making sure that you're training well, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
What have you made of? Sorry,
I just wanted to quickly ask you, Aurelio. In the Kofu game, you got a penalty and Tall Guy took it. And it was notable that Jamie was on the park at that point, and that came after Jamie missed the penalty against Wellington. Is Jamie off spot kicks for a little while? Was that a special circumstance? Who's your preferred penalty taker moving forward?
Well, for us, that game there was always going to be Jamie. Jamie has been our number one penalty taker, but he passed it on to Tolgay. So, and that's absolutely fine. So we have a list of 4 or 5 that we put up every game who's going to take it, and whoever is confident is going to take it. So obviously Jamie missed his last one, so he's probably not in the right frame of mind. And but the great thing for Jamie is that he's scoring away from the penalties. That's more important for me.
Just Perth Glory briefly. I know they've lost, I think it's 3 on the bounce. They've been away from home as well. They're still scoring goals. It seems like they can still be a pretty dangerous proposition. What have you made of them?
Yeah, they are dangerous. I think they've had a pretty tough couple of games, but always a difficult opponent, especially over there in Perth. Some decent players, obviously, a new coach. So the travel away there is always difficult. So we expect an extremely tough game, Anna, for sure.
We'll just touch on Joe's thing, and with the penalties, like Jamie's obviously a pretty seasoned campaigner. Do you just sort of leave it to him as to when he feels ready to go on it again? I know some players like to get back on the horse straight away. Others, the coach maybe gives them a nudge. Do you just leave it up to an experienced player like Jamie as to when he feels ready to take him again?
Yeah, they know more than what we do, so they know when they're feeling confident. And as a striker, you just want to keep scoring. That's absolutely normal. So penalties are all part of that. He wasn't confident in taking that last one and pass it on. So fair play to him. That's no issue. And when he's ready again, I'm sure he'll step up.
We've got the squad announcement for the Asian Cup coming up soon, and especially with Matt on the way back now, there's a good chance you could be losing. Well, maybe odds on to lose 3 players.
Which ones,
Aziz,
Joey?
Jamie and Lecky. Well, those are the 3 that Arnie's played a lot. So
yeah.
I'm sure as a coach, you imagine you should be losing 11 players, and Melbourne City should be representing Australia. But are you in discussions with Arnie about what he's thinking, and maybe are you already putting in contingency plans for what happens if you're losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players to the Asian Cup?
Yeah, I think there's nothing we can do about it. No, I haven't had a chance to have a chat to Arnie, but he's going to pick his squad. I can't interfere with that, and I wouldn't. So he knows what he needs to get a squad ready to try to win it. And whatever it is. Obviously, now that Lex is back playing, he's certainly going to be a big part of Arnie's squad. So, and Aziz has been a mainstay for quite a while. Jamie's been there as well. So. Who knows? There might be an odd surprise as well, but nothing we can do about it. We just got to prepare, leading up to that. If we lose Aziz, we've got Scott Galloway ready. We don't have much depth after that anyway, in terms of recognised fullbacks. So that could be testing for us. But the good thing is, by that stage, we're back to almost a game per week, so we don't have the rush of a game every 3 or 4 days, so that's also an advantage for us.